Jason Gilbo here at Fantasy Football Cafe. Week 1 is just about in the books as I am watching the Monday night games right now as Julio Jones is just torching the Philly Eagles here. Looking pretty well. Sam Bradford and that Chip Kelly offense not clicking so far. And you got the other Monday night game later tonight. But I'm looking ahead at Week 2 right now. Looking at some waiver wire openings, which will be up and ready tomorrow, and as well as some streamers for Week 2. Just some notes to touch on from Week 1 here as far as injuries go. Biggest, obviously, is Dez Bryant. Going down, going to be out, close to 5-6 weeks here. Kind of some time speculation going on as well with the injury, but broken foot, so definitely not good. It's going to create an opportunity for Terrence Williams, but he's the obvious choice, definitely the highest owned out of the receiving core, as long as Jason Witten, who's going to benefit a lot from this as well. But Cole Beasley, definitely an option to look at, and another guy I'll name in a little bit, Lance Dunbar, who I want to talk about. But Williams is going to see a pretty good increase in targets. He got a decent amount last night with Bryant kind of on and off the field as we go, but definitely going to see an increase in targets and going to be the guy you want to grab. Cole Beasley, a decent slot guy, I like him in PPR leagues, so he's going to have some work too, being the number 2 guy. What the hell did the Tennessee Titans do this week? Mariota throwing 16 passes, but for 4 touchdowns and over 200 yards in the air. Delaney Walker, Kendall Wright, Bishop Sankey, all touchdowns there. Sankey actually had one on the ground and one in the air. Looking at them for the next 2 weeks, I mean, they're going to play the Browns, who defensively gave up 31 points to the Jets. Jets offense, a little better than the Tennessee Titans, but I mean, not by a tremendous amount. And you're also looking at the Colts in Week 3, who defense is just really awful. They couldn't stop Tyrod Taylor, although they stuffed McCoy a bit there, but I mean, Carlos Williams, all those guys, they had pretty solid outings. So looking for the next 2 weeks, I think Tennessee has to be on your radar for streamers. And a lot of them are widely available due to their loan ownership, and you gotta like them right there. So I'm really throwing them out there for streamers this week, and I also even like the Tennessee defense, who, regardless of whether it's Josh McCown or Johnny Manziel, Browns offense is just horrendous, and we didn't expect anything more. So you got to look at the Tennessee Titans as one of the top defense streaming because they're out there. I'm sure we're all probably pondering, is it the Bucs that had a lot to do with this, or is it the Tennessee Titans? But the coaching staff drew up a big game plan, and it worked. I think you're going to see a pretty successful Titans team over the next few weeks here, until they get a tougher matchup. Looking at running backs, I'm taking a look at D'Angelo Williams, who's going to get one more week of fantasy relevance until Le'Veon Bell comes back. Rushed for 127 yards and 21 carries against a pretty stout Pats defense that prides themselves on on stopping the run as well as the pass too. But I mean, 127 yards on 21 carries, pretty solid stuff. And the Niners defense, I can't rank them any higher than the Patriots, especially with all their losses in the offseason. So you got to look at that game as possibly a ground and pound game, but you know what? The Steelers' offense can air it out as well, creating a big opening for Williams. So you got to like that. Another injury opportunity, this time in the desert. Andre Ellington was playing very well, 5.8 yards per carry. That offense was clicking on all cylinders. They threw the ball very well, which opened up a lot of holes for Ellington. But Ellington's going to be out 2 to 3 weeks minimum with that PCL injury. And, the Johnson & Johnson duo is in the backfield, and I'm really looking at one, and that's David out of Northern Iowa. We saw his speed, huge on that 55-yard screen pass at the end of the game. And, I think he's going to be the guy who actually leads in touches, this week. And you're looking at this week, and he plays the Bears, which not a good run defense. They ranked last or close to last season, and didn't look too good, stopping Lacey at all. So I think, with Palmer opening up things in the air, it's going to open up a lot on the ground, and I definitely like that going forward. I mentioned James Jones last week. No, I'm not touting my picks. I'm just saying I did not even expect 2 touchdowns out of him, but looking forward for the rest of the season, Jones fell right into rhythm with Rodgers, and you got to like what you saw there. As a Devontae owner myself, I wasn't extremely happy with Jones snagging 2 touchdowns, and even though he could have had 3, but I like Jones around the red zone, and so does Rodgers. So definitely, if he's still out there, definitely worth a grab. I've also seen some buzz around Deion Lewis for the Patriots. He saw a lot of looks in the passing game last week, and that's really where he's going to thrive on. But that was also with LeGarrette Blount suspended. Lewis is still going to see touches, but I think really PPR leagues is where he should be on your radar. I can't trust Bill Belichick. I can't, recommend him for standard formats and trying to figure it out week to week. I guess you could take a flyer on him if you have the bench space and play that route. But outside of that, PPR leagues, nothing more from me. Looking at tight ends, Jordan Reed really received a ton of targets in the Redskins passing game. Now with Deshaun Jackson, Cousins is limited options. You got to like Reed going forward. And it was really kind of a big week for tight ends altogether. You had Eifert, Kelsey, just a lot of monster games. Eric Ebron, never been questioned for his talent. It's been the volume of passes directed to him. Just hasn't gotten anything going. No rhythm with Stafford. But looked pretty good against the Chargers. He had 4 receptions, a touchdown. So looked pretty well there. If you've been penny pinching at tight end this season, if you missed out on some of those top targets, he's definitely worth a look. Wrapping up things here, I'm a big fan of the Titans' weapons at all for the next week or two. Mariota, Kendall Wright, Delaney Walker, all guys, the defense. Delaney Walker a little heavily owned, but Bishop Sankey kind of hit and miss in whether he's available in your leagues. I definitely like the matchups coming forward. Like I said, Dallas injury situation, going to create some opportunities for other wideouts. And, you didn't see them really rely on a running game a ton. That could change. But I also really like Lance Dunbar, who, grabbed a ton of targets, this week against the Giants. I believe he had 8 targets, 8 receptions for 70 yards. So you got to like that going forward if that's something to really keep an eye on. So definitely watch that. With streamers, defense, mentioned the Titans. A lot of the targeted defenses that were high owned in the drafts, they get the juicy matchups this week. It's a lot of low owned subpar matchups, so it's really not a favorable week that way. QBs, I really like Andy Dalton yet again. I like Carson Palmer. I really prefer them, but they're obviously higher owned. Probably going to be higher owned after the week they just had. So Mariota is probably your best grab if you're looking for someone to stream. RBs, D'Angelo Williams, David Johnson, and even Lance Dunbar there. So I really like seeing those 3 out for this week. Wide receivers, I love Stevie Johnson again. Him and Ladarius Green got on the board, and that was a big passing game for all above there in San Diego. So that was nice to see. Brandon Coleman for the Saints grabbed a touchdown, 40 yards on 4 receptions. He got as many targets as Marcus Colston. Going to begin to wonder what the target report is going to shape out for New Orleans this season. Wondering if Coleman's possibly behind Cooks on Breeze's list there. So something to keep an eye on, but I definitely like grabbing Coleman. Especially this week, he's going to feast on a Bucs team that just gave up monster points to Marcus Mariota. So should be a big week for the Saints passing game. Not as many excellent matchups as there were last week, but still some decent plays. Also, stay tuned for all the podcasts throughout the week. A lot of great content coming up here at Fantasy Football Cafe.